Alrighty. It is February 15th, Saturday. This is the Fall Damage. I think this is 3. Fall Damage Gamescast. Number 3.
Sure, we'll go with that. It's
Yeah.
number 3.
Number 3.
Boom. Perfect.
I'm Mac. Moose is in the middle. Alt is on the far left. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Fucking
Pretty
fantastic.
good, just woken up from a
Yeah.
nap.
You did.
That's why we're doing it just now, because
Hey, I recommended
I have
for you to
some-
get some food or whatever, but you're like, nah.
Because I can fucking handle it.
Look, I got snacks.
It's all good. Hey, you guys can't read this, but we actually have a pretty sick show for the Gamescast planned out today.
Goddamn right.
And whoa, that whole thing slid on me, so I'm glad it didn't fall. Yeah, so remember how we did spoilercast, which 2 of them are up, I believe. Beginner's Guide is up, and then Curse of the Moon is up. We did this whole thing where we bought each other games, and then we're supposed to talk about the games because they're outside of our preferred genre. So, recap. Alt played a walking simulator called The Beginner's Guide. Moose played an old school Castlevania-like platformer called Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And now I have played an RTS called Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 2. Could that be? That's like some anime shit. Could you like come up with a better name for your goddamn game?
I feel like
so true.
I feel like all Warhammer games are like that, though.
Oh, they really are.
It's like, let's make the longest title and then have people play that.
Dude, that was ridiculous.
Well, it's because that was the age where, ridiculously long names were good. And everyone just did that because they're like, if we make it sound more interesting than it probably actually, people buy our game and play it.
It's true.
So, Moose, you actually are the one that bought me this game to play.
Insane.
And it's an RTS. Before we get into that, why did you try to get me to play this game?
It was mostly because it was an RTS, and I love RTSs, but the ones that I regularly play are not really ones I would recommend to someone who doesn't actively or hasn't actively played an RTS in a long time. So I figured I'd go back and choose one that's not so much well-known, but a franchise that I'm very familiar with. And, I know it's pretty good. I know that most people that I've talked to, the Warcraft or Warhammer franchise is well-rounded, and people just like it in general. Because I was thinking of getting you to play Stellaris, but I felt like that was a little too difficult because it is a very heavy learning curve on that one. So I was just like, he doesn't play RTSs, but I want him to play an RTS. So pick something that's basically like a different version of Age of Empires, I guess you could say. Because that's what I remember that being like, to an extent.
I'm glad you brought that up. So when I was like, I think maybe in like 3rd or 4th grade, my neighbor in my hometown had Age of Empires on his PC. Like I remember his sister was like a teenager back then, and she was doing like graphic design on like an old computer, and that's what he was using to play Age of Empires. I remember I used to go over to his house and be like, man, this looks sick and stuff, and like watch him play. So when I started Warhammer, I was like, oh, okay. First of all, can we talk about how violently gruesome those beginning cutscenes are? They're like,
Warhammer is incredibly over the top, honestly.
Brutal, dude.
Space, dude. You got so let me tell you a bit of Warhammer 40k lore.
Are you playing Minesweeper, by the way?
No, I was playing WoW.
Oh,
that's why. But no, so in Warhammer lore, it's basically like high fantasy kind of deal mixed with like space and technology. because you got elves, dwarves, orcs, all that stuff.
Yes.
And so, like, and demons as well, like demons and stuff like that. So you have, in one iteration, you have this ship of orcs that's basically trapped in a time loop by a demon where he thought it would be hell for them, basically where they die and revive and just fight again. They just constantly are dying and fighting, kind of like Valhalla, I guess you could say, from Norse mythology. But basically, this is these orcs' version of heaven, actually, because they're immortal. They can't die, and they constantly are fighting and just wrecking house. And this demon eventually, regrets it immensely. So it was pretty funny when I heard about that one.
Well, I know that when I first started the game, first of all, why is it every game when you start it up, the sound is like just blasting?
I complain about that all the time, man. It's like, come on, don't blow out my ears every time. Like, even, and the other thing is too, like with a lot of games, even after you lower the sound, the starting like cinematic crap is still just a million decibels.
Yes.
Whenever you start it up.
So I think
like,
the thing with the FMVs and games like that is, even if you adjust the sound, the FMVs are always going to be they're what considered high quality sound. So when they play the FMV, it's always max volume, max decibels, best quality at the start.
Speaking of quality, Discord is taking a shit right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sounds fine to me.
The cameras are...
the cameras keep flashing.
Yeah. Well, both of your cameras, from my perspective, well, actually, you just stabilized, but Moose, you're still kind of blurry.
You're both blurry to me.
Yeah. Thanks, Discord. It's like, it'll be fine for fucking days on end. But then we decided to record one little thing. I was like, you know what? I feel like taking a shit right now.
That's... I wonder if Discord has an update. Maybe that's it. I wonder.
Nope. Not for me.
Not
today.
Well.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Boo.
Rest in pepperonis.
Damn, Moose, yours still won't stabilize for me. That sucks.
You want me to leave and come back?
Yeah, see about doing that.
Is that better?
Nope. God damn it.
Damn, not only is it worse, but you kind of gave a little bit to Alt.
Damn, I gave you Alt cancer.
Oh boy. I got 27 millisecond ping to the video though, which is weird. Like we're fucking high quality. As high as quality you can get, basically.
I don't know, we'll just keep going, I guess.
Fuck it. Hopefully it gets better.
All right, we're back. We had technical difficulties. I think I was recording the whole time. Anyway. So, oh my god, Discord. This is so
Hey, listen, this is actually perfect though, because this is what we have to deal with now. Later we'll be together.
Right. So, long story short, the volume in the beginning of games blasts your ear out, and then I mean, listen, I don't care about violence in video games. I'm not a big stickler for that. But like when I saw the opening cutscene for the game, I was like, Jesus, that's how you open this? Like stabbing in each other's throats, blood splatting everywhere, people shooting each other's face. I was like, God damn, that's quite the intro. So it certainly sets the tone for what the game is all about. So you got to appreciate that.
And this is why all the kids in America are violent.
Yes.
I'm more like, that doesn't make me want to be violent. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, right?
Easy.
It's like, that's over the top.
Yeah. So, but whatever. So, I played, I believe, close to 2 hours. Not 2 hours, but close to 2 hours of the game. And it's interesting, right? The gameplay loop of advancing, attacking, and having like a different strategy is cool. But the reason why I couldn't play it more than the initial 2 hours was because that hook itself wasn't enough to grab me. It's like, okay, yeah, this is fine. It has like good flow to it. It's like, I kind of know what I'm doing. The game actually did a fairly decent job of like teaching you of how to advance. One thing I didn't like is I wish you could just like the last highlighted target. I wish you could just click them on to go somewhere else. Instead, you have to click them back. You have to highlight the target again, like Captain whatever. Click on him and then have him move and then do the same. So I wish it was a little easier to just, if he's already highlighted, like if I already told him to attack something, and then I want him, after he killed that thing, I want him to move to a different portion, like he won't. You have to read.
Oh,
Really?
they don't,
I didn't know about that.
They don't have a sticky targeting option?
No. Maybe they did, but they weren't. It wasn't available to me right from the start. So.
Well, because I was gonna say, I remember the in like normal, like what is that game called? Like StarCraft and Age of Empires, where you just number them. Do you not number them?
They were
like you hit Control 1 to number them as
basically as a group as a sticky target.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe I didn't get to that point of where they showed the tutorial. They were just I was gaining new teammates, and they were just kind of like showing me the ropes of how to advance, how to attack, and how to do the little things as far as the mechanics. Which, do you know, the one thing I commend about this game is that right away it doesn't bullshit you. It's like play like this is what you're doing. So like after that cutscene in the beginning, you choose your world. It has like a little synopsis of like what's going on, and then like, hey, this is you, go kill those aliens. So I like the fact that it let me play. Like it let me play right away, let me feel out like what's going on. And even though the aliens at the beginning are supposed to be super easy, I didn't know how to play from the beginning. So they're super easy, so I didn't know what to do. And then, but because they're super easy, they're just supposed to be sponges, right? You're just supposed to be able to kill them easy. So it gave me time to kind of like figure out. It's like, okay, I click this, and then he has a grenade, so I can incorporate that. So it gives you little tips here and there, and then as you go, you advance. The advancing part was a little strange to me because I haven't played a game like that where I was like, oh, I use the mouse for everything. You can use the directions for the map itself, but you can't use them for the actual targets. So I was like, oh, okay, so everything is with a mouse. And then the one cool thing that I thought is like you kind of have to think forward, right? Because some parts of the map are grayed out because you haven't reached a certain peak yet, but you can see like the enemy territory and some parts where they're still kind of grayed out, but you can see that they're there. So it gives you an idea. It's like, okay, once I kill this squad, I probably want to go left because there's less there than if I go right into the tower. And there were a couple parts there where I didn't like, and I recorded some clips where like if I put my commander in a hut, I couldn't get the motherfucker out. I was like, get out! I was like, get out of there, because like my squad kept dying. And then there was one like rifleman who, God, he died on me so time. But luckily the revive system is really good. Like it's almost abusable how good it was. You can revive people at any range. And I don't know, it's because if I was playing on like super beginner, but you can just resurrect people. And like, oh, well, he died. Let me just click this on. And then everybody's alive again. And the timer for it, it's only like 60 seconds. So like the odds of somebody dying every 60 seconds are really slim. So I basically have unlimited revives. And yeah, the game was cool. I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm not learning anything new anymore. I'm just kind of just doing the same thing over and over. And now just the difficulty is getting up. So as a concept itself, I thought it was cool. And I appreciate what it's doing, right? I can appreciate that. But it doesn't have like long-term
replayability.
No. Well, not for me personally. So interesting experience. I didn't care for the story. Like I normally don't care for stories for stuff like that. But what I did like is the fact that it had like almost shades of Gears of War in it, where I mean, you have your commander who, I mean, all of them are dressed kind of like with not a uniform, but like the same equipment.
Power
Of like,
armor.
yeah, like kind of like Gears of War. And you can have the commander like go charge the enemy, and he's got like a fucking, I don't know if he's got like a sword or a chainsaw. Like, I can't see because they're so small, but like,
He has a chainsaw sword.
yeah.
I'm
So
pretty sure that's a chainsaw sword.
that's awesome. That's like Gears of War. So,
I think honestly, Gears of War was inspired by Warhammer 40k.
yeah. So it's interesting game.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's
I'm glad you sort of enjoyed it.
yeah. I didn't hate it by any means. I could tell that it's not for me, but I didn't hate it. I didn't not enjoy my time with it.
So you
That's
did
good.
enjoy your time with it.
I enjoyed my time with it until I got to a point where I saw that like it wasn't going to teach me anything more. Now it's all about the gameplay. So once I got like that big piece of gameplay already off, or like already experienced it, I was like, well, if this is all it is, it's not enough to keep me going. But I liked the point up to that. That makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
yeah.
I would love to have both of you try like Stellaris or Sins of the Solar Empire. I think it'd be interesting to see what you guys do with that. But
Never
again,
played
I understand that those kind of games are a bit, I guess you could say, way more advanced and not necessarily for everyone.
What we should do is pick a game like that and then multiplayer each other.
You two versus me. Got it.
I mean, hey, let's listen.
What if we get bodied?
What we should do is just play Civilization against each other.
I love me some Civ 5
Yeah.
or Civ 6.
I never
They're
played that
both-
franchise.
Civ 5, I think I prefer a little bit more, but I do love Civ 6.
Yeah, I think Civ 5 and 6 are pretty good, actually.
They're just, honestly, I've not played a Civilization game that I haven't enjoyed so far. So,
Shout outs to Civ.
Yeah.
All right, that was the spoilercast for Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 2. My 2-hour spoilercast. I don't have a score, but I like it. It's I liked it for what it was, but I don't see myself going back to it. I think I'm very
That's
much in the
fair.
boat where like kind of like Moose in the platformer, right? Like I can appreciate it for what it is, but I'm good.
yeah, no, I completely understand that.
I think all of us pretty much had those same experiences with the.
Well, so my game's different though.
Yeah, his
my
game's a little
my game was an
different.
experience. It wasn't something I could replay
Yeah, that's true.
necessarily.
Well,
So
it doesn't
I
give
would
you
I,
like.
I
you're
would
not gonna-
play other walking simulators
Okay.
and be fine with it, but I obviously can't
Yeah, you
replay
can't play that one.
Beginner's
yeah.
Guide.
Yeah, because it's our games are more open ended, whereas yours is like it has a definitive end.
Yeah, there's no replayability. It's just like
No.
this is a thing that happened and it's done now. Like it's like watching a movie. I could theoretically go back and play through it,
But it
it'd
wouldn't be the
just
same
it'd just be to re-experience the experience, and it
Yeah.
just
at that point. What?
We definitely. I think we should revisit this idea again, perhaps with maybe nostalgia games for us, like games we've played before and we like or we have something to say about, and have other people play.
Yeah, I think that on that note, that one of us should pick a game for everybody, and we all play the game, and then each give our own opinion about that game.
That's a good one too. So like brand new experience, so none of us have played before.
Or an old experience, like say if you
okay.
liked Chrono Trigger or something, we all three play Chrono Trigger, and we all give our own opinions of that game
Code.
based on our playthrough, or that, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Yeah.
All right, I'm down. We got one more. Actually, we got 2 more or 3 more. Fuck, I don't know. Some host I am.
So many.
So many. Listen, today I listened to a podcast. Not today. Yesterday I listened to a podcast. Shout outs to that podcast called Sacred Symbols. It's with Colin Moriarty and Chris Ray Gunn, and the former IGNer, kind of funny personality. Colin Moriarty used to be a good writer. I used to follow his work. They were talking about. I spoke to Moose a little bit about that. They're talking about how one of the Hauser brothers from RockStar has left the company, and he used to be a creative director for like Red Dead and GTA and Bully and all these big franchises of RockStar. And
I never got Bully.
Yeah, Bully sucks.
Stupid ass game.
Yeah, but that's beyond the point. They're like,
yeah.
Whatever. He was the creative director, and he just leaves with no real reason, or like they don't really say why. There's no real press release. Maybe he'll do an interview in the future. But anyway, he was like a big part of why those games were cool, because he was a big lead and the narrative in the story. So he's gone. And then it brought up to the question of maybe Rockstar is seeing... I mean, there's so many theories out there. Like, did he leave because he just has too much money? Did he leave because he had, beef with his brother? Or did he leave because he's just tired of, writing these narratives? Nobody knows until he says. But
right.
There's a theory now. Does Rockstar really need to do these big narrative games like, RDR and GTA 5 and all these games? Or can they just lead on like online functionality? Like Grand Theft Auto, although it is a great game, the reason why, GTA 5 did so well is because of the online, really. That infrastructure will never die, it seems like. They just make money upon money with GTA Online. So my question for today's podcast is online focus versus offline focus. One, which one do you think we're trending to with regards to games? And two, which one do you prefer?
I'll go. I'll take that one.
Okay.
Go.
Okay, so okay. So repeat the first question. Just the first part of the first question.
Which
I'll take it from there.
Do you think gaming as a whole, the industry is going towards more online focused infrastructure, or will they keep doing the offline narrative sort of single player games?
Okay, so offline or online focus. So let's say we'll start with offline. I think that the industry as a whole, as every game company, we're just going to generic put them in a pot. They're all going for offline focus in the worst possible direction to start off. They're not focusing a lot on narrative anymore. Some of them are. So like, for instance, Rockstar, RDR2, really good offline narrative, very good, clean game. It does have some bugs here and there, but completely overshadowed by their narrative. It's a really good game. Aside from that, we're getting a lot of remakes, remasters, like half-assed, unfinished games, just across the board. Every company, like they're just throwing trash out everywhere.
Just throw it at a wall and see what sticks.
Well, it's not even that. They're not even throwing it. They're just like
they're throwing the same thing at the wall.
I think this will make money. Whew. Yep, it made some money. And then they like, we are going to put half-assed effort into this, more money.
IPs, stuff like that is what you're saying.
What you're saying, they've ran out of ideas.
I don't think they're running out of ideas. I think they don't want to put the focus
just being
or
lazy.
The manpower into making a really good game because they don't have to. Because the consumer will buy whatever the hell they put out.
Right. Why take a risk in making a new game when somebody's just going to buy the next Madden, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so for instance, there's a game coming out. I'm going to play it because it looks fucking amazing, but it's still a remake. And that's the Final Fantasy VII remake. It looks amazing, and I'm glad they're doing it the way they're doing it. But they're releasing that game. They're also working on the Final Fantasy 13. What is it called? It's like the fourth. It's supposed to be like the third version of it, but I can't remember what it's called. 13 Versus. So they're releasing that game sometime either this year or next year, I think. And that was a game that's already basically been made. And I called that on a podcast that probably got lost.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Kingdom Hearts having a throwback to that game. Anyway, so they're making Final Fantasy VII Remake, which looks great and whatever, but it's really it is a money grab. It's going to be great probably, but it's still a money grab, and every company is doing this shit. Like
probably
just remakes and remasters and just fucking bullshit because they're like they're going to buy games because they're games. They don't care about story focus. They don't care about online focus.
And a lot of people are doing it just because they know they can make them. I don't remember who started it, but it's because they see, oh, there's a nostalgia factor for this game, and people just basically are going to suck its dick and just love it because of what it is and kind of childhood memories and all that. That's why
Also,
they'll buy it.
also on that, since Moose said that, actually, the nostalgia thing, right? So we have a new IP coming out, right? Our new remake IP from Squaresoft. We also have the PS5 probably coming out this year too, right? That's a new thing.
Supposedly fall.
Probably
So
November.
they fucking double their money because they're signing up with Sony, and they're probably getting funding from them because they're leading the project teams, right, in development. So Final Fantasy VII Remake will come out in April 2nd or 3rd this year. And then later in the year, a new system, a new console will come out, the PS5, and they'll release it to that console as well as the PS4. So not only are people buying the game for the PS4 to play it on the PS4, but they're also going to buy an entirely new console, because people do this, because I've done this before. I buy a console for the game I want to play and basically just play that game, but they're also you're buying a $200 or $300 console to play a $50 to $60 game.
Yeah.
Right. So they're just getting a shit ton of money off of that too. So it's ridiculous. And so the offline focus, I think it's all going to shit. I think pretty much gaming as a whole is kind of going to shit in its own way. And I don't hate gaming, and I love some video games, and I like some of the new IPs coming out. But I think as a whole, I think gaming is going towards a really shitty offline focus. As the online focus goes, it really depends. I think online's still in its kind of like a beta phase, because nobody has a unified net code, so everything's kind of all over the place that way. Like for instance, Tekken's got an all right net code. All right, it's not the best, but it's better than some.
It's better than Unist, but they're both shit.
But they are both shit. The matchmaking sucks. They do have pretty good resolution between you and the other player. You're losing frames, but you're losing online frames. It's not that bad. You don't usually get disconnected. You don't there's not very periods of disconnect where you're just like, I'm playing a guy and then he just disappears, right?
Yeah.
So Soul Calibur is one of those games that does do that, where you're playing a guy and boom, disconnection. Or like in Unis, I imagine it probably happens too. For other online games, Call of Duty, for instance, Black Ops, Modern Warfare, I can't remember. Whatever we were playing last, the one that has the massive
Black Ops 4.
Yeah. So, when you're online playing a shooter game, your headshot's not supposed to be, somewhere in this region. It's supposed to be somewhere in this region. But due to lag, headshots can be here or over there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because online netcode fucking sucks.
That's one of the things I love about Black Ops. Is just watching the kill cam footage, or like the last kill of the round, or whatever, the play of the game, whatever the hell you want to call it, because you'll be like 3 feet away from the freaking hitbox of whatever it is that you're trying to hit, essentially.
And the thing that bugs me about this, the netcode for all games in general, is that the technology kind of exists already for streaming. Not necessarily. We're not talking like Netflix streaming, like gaming streaming, where your latency between you and the host is very, very low, like very low.
Yeah,
like you could play
3 seconds.
You could play even less than that, like in the millisecond. We're talking like in the low 100 millisecond range. Between you and the host, it could be in California. Like you could stream a game almost real time from your house in the Midwest to California, in theory, as long as your internet's good and you have a stable connection. So theoretically, I'd say that most online netcodes should follow the same basic principles of that, right? So you connect to a central server or to a host, and when you connect, your latency between each other shouldn't make any difference. If you have good internet, The only person who should be affected is the person that has the worst internet, right? Not the person that has the best internet. So like if I'm making headshots or trying to hit headshots and I'm sitting right in front of you and I've got my fucking cursor on your head, it should get
You
a
should be
headshot.
dead.
Yeah,
Boom,
right. So
dead.
like that's not how it works usually. So in an ideal world, netcode should be unified between game developers, just like Bluetooth and wireless connections, and that should be a thing. So I think that as a whole, the gaming industry still in the beta phase of net play ability and net joined games.
Very well said. So, since we don't have that right now, not even close, which one would you prefer to go on? Like, if let's say, games are deciding to go one way only, right? Because the world sucks. They're like, we either just continue on to try to expand the network of online functionality in games. So, games that are coming out like GTA, they're going to be known as GTA Online, or The Division is meant to be for like you and your team and your buddies to play online. Everything it has a very centric like multiplayer function attached to it. Or would you rather them just bypass, be like, well, you know what, online functionality is not on the top of the list. We're just going to work on making single player games.
As much as I love multiplayer games, and that is the majority of what I play, I think I would prefer the latter option where it's not on the top of the list, because I feel like you get better games if that's the case. Unless, of course, obviously it's being billed as a multiplayer game, because obviously it's a multiplayer game, you want good multiplayer. But if it's a single player game, I feel like you get a better product overall kind of deal, because you
Even
have
if it's shit.
Yeah, even because even if it's like that, you still have a more solid game. Whereas if it's just like a what is this called? What is it called? My brain is just gone.
Well, you did just wake up like 5 minutes ago.
We should have let Moose wake up.
No, my brain would have been like this anyway. It's not changed.
Right.
But
describe it. Use descriptive words.
My words.
My words.
Like, even if it's a bad single player game, it's less likely that people are going to get as mad or hate it as much if it's a bad single player, whereas if it's a bad multiplayer. Because, like, I can remember a couple games like WildStar. I enjoyed that for what it was, but it was not the greatest multiplayer game, which is entirely what it was supposed to be, and it just kind of let down. Whereas if it was some more single player stuff, you could have gotten away with it a bit more, but in the end, it just didn't work out.
I agree with that. I agree that if you build a multiplayer game and that's what its purpose is, like if you tried to play Black Ops and you couldn't connect to each other, I would hate that, because I have a specific game that I did that with recently, Pokemon Sword, that the whole point of the game, since it's now a console-based game, is to unify you and another player online, so you guys can battle together, do raid battles together. So the basically main focus of the game is to be able to do raid battles with your buddies. And if you can't do that, what's the fucking point of playing the game in the first place? Well, with a single player game, if it's not the best, it's still a complete game. You can enjoy the experience for what it has to offer. And the only letdown is what you think of the game. It's still functional. It still has a storyline. It still has an endpoint. Whereas a multiplayer game, if you can't do the only thing it's meant to do, which is play with your buddies, then why are you playing it, Moose?
Perfect example of this, No Man's Sky. If it was a single player game and billed as a single player game at launch, everybody would have loved it. They'd be sucking its dick till the cows come home, okay? But the problem is they built it as a multiplayer game, and it did not have that functionality at launch. Like, I enjoyed it as a single player experience, but I was let down because it was billed as a multiplayer one, and I got it to play with friends. So I'm like, what's the point of me having this if I'm not able to play with my friends when that's entirely the reason I got it? Because I feel like that's the reason I've gotten quite a few games that I've gotten into, like MMOs and even GTA 5, okay? I don't care about the story of GTA 5. I don't care about the story of any of the GTAs. They're interesting to watch, but it's not something that I'm interested in actually going through and playing. However, I enjoyed playing the online because it gives me something. Hey, if I just want to go around and just like get in a jet and shoot stuff down with my buddies, I can do that. Whereas, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but that's just the point I had, is that I get certain games I know just because I want to play multiplayer. Like a lot of those RTS games that I get them so I can play with my buddies, like Civ 5, Civ 6. I probably wouldn't have gotten those as soon as I did, because I mean they're still fantastic series and great to play solo, but if I didn't have people to play with, it kind of, I guess you could say, lessens the experience, because that's what those are built for, I guess, because those are multiplayer games and they have a fantastic AI system, and the AI is, whoa, it's really difficult in those games if you set it up to that. So you can definitely get it, but it's definitely more enjoyable because it has a good net code. It has good connectability where you can play it with people very easily.
I think single player experience is the way the gaming should go, period.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, hold on for a second, because Moose, you said you agree, but you just like explain how you rather it be multiplayer. Maybe I'm lost here.
So I say I got it because of the multiplayer for a few of these games, but the reason I enjoy them is because they're also incredibly good as a single player game. Okay, Civ 5. I can spend hours playing that with my friends, or I can just spend hours fighting the PC, because the PC AI is just so well refined that it kicks your ass, really.
Okay.
And I like that challenge.
So you would rather to sacrifice the online emphasis of games than get the single player concept of it.
I would rather have a solid single player experience from a lot of these games than have like them be focused on multiplayer functionality, because I want that to be like a second, or not the main reason why I'm getting the game. I should be getting the game because it's good. I can play by myself and enjoy it. But I can also, if I wanted to, I could play with friends. So I want the multiplayer, as much as I prefer that and like playing with people. I want that to be the second option, because I feel like the games are much more, what is the word I'm thinking? Much better and much more stable player bases if they had focus on that kind of one. You just say one person's going to be playing it, so that I should cater it to just being a one person game, even if it does have multiple.
Yep, go ahead, Alt.
Now I can make an argument for the other side too. If gaming went to an all online focus, if they were refining, if the whole point of that was to refine the online experience to make it perfect, and it ended up getting to that point, then I'd probably prefer that, because I enjoy playing games with other people. But
And sacrifice for like single player experience. I'm talking about like Uncharted, The Last of Us. Like
we're talking like completely removing single player experience from the table, right?
we're talking about you're gonna see less of them, because it seems like the trend is going towards like GTA Online, Fortnite, you know, all these games that have to do with just, you know, you playing online with people versus you reading text of like, you know, Dishonored or
Well,
Skyrim.
that could be good, I guess, maybe in its own way. It depends, right? So, like, say if the whole single player base didn't disappear entirely, and we went to a more multiplayer focus, but we still had single player games, more likely than not, the single player games from that bizarro universe would be much better than the macro produced single player experiences we get right now. So that might be a good trade off. I don't know. It could go either way. I feel like right now, based on the whole explanation before this, the end of this topic here that I had before, is leaning more towards like just stop making video games entirely because everything sucks. But yeah, I think if we're gonna go one route or the other, I'd prefer companies to focus on a single player experience and just revive single player experiences entirely, like fucking Fallout 3, New Vegas, BioShock, those kind of things. Those are all really good single player experiences, and we're starting to miss those things. We're starting to miss the mark because we had the revolution of better graphics and advanced technologies and shit right now. So like all they're doing is focusing towards that shit, making everything really flashy. And now we have like the EA experience.
All flash, no subs.
Well, yeah, we get that, and then we get the EA experience where we get like in-game purchasable items and shit like that. And I don't give a fuck about any of that. Why is this happening? Like, I don't care. Just give me a fucking game. We can't even like play a fighting game anymore and unlock characters because they're in a DLC package now. They're all behind a paywall. So yeah, I think the single player experience sucks. I think the online experience suck. It just all sucks. Stop making games.
Doom. Yeah, it's all doom. Alrighty.
That's fair.
I guess we'll see how in like 2-3 years we'll see how this podcast ages as far as game development is concerned.
Oh God, I hope it's fucking amazing, but we'll see.
We'll see.
But I do, and sorry to interrupt. I do see it getting better because I think what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years, give or take, and this is all projection. We can reflect on this later in a future podcast, but I think that the way that consoles are going right now, I think aside from like Nintendo, and I'm telling the future right now, I think aside from Nintendo, all consoles will be pretty much annihilated completely, and we'll all move to a computer experience because why would you play on any other platform? So I think what will end up happening is Microsoft and Sony will make a store, basically, where you download games from to a PC that they've made to play these games, but it won't be a console. It'll be like an actual PC or some derivative of PC that you download games to, basically how the consoles work now, but you still have the option to do the same thing with PCs because they'd make more money that way. Because if you had an online store that you could play all PlayStation games on and all Xbox games on, and you could download them to your own PC in a unified spot, I think that they would make an ass ton more money, and they'd have to put a lot less into making consoles and shit. So I think that's the way it's going to end up going.
Yeah, I feel like what's it called? It would help game development a lot if you don't have to make it for 3 different sets of consoles that have different specifications. You could just have a single specification, i.e. the computer one. And even if you don't necessarily make it mouse and keyboard, with the fact that I can literally go to the Best Buy, buy an Xbox controller, and plug it in and have no issues at all, is just fantastic. Like, that's the simplest thing, and it's honestly the best in my opinion.
Yeah, also third-party developers also develop everything on PCs, so they have to make it a new format when developing it, which is really dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll hear about if you ever watched YouTube, and on the boring side of YouTube, the part that I frequent with game development and like industry and stuff like that, you'll hear third-party companies bitching about that all the time, because usually those softwares to convert over, or the development software, is usually hosted by whatever company, like Sony or Squaresoft or fucking whoever's front loading the game. They're like, build on our software. We built it. It's great. And they're like, No, it's not really that great, but hey, whatever. We'll go with it.
Yet another reason why PC is master race. I do
It
think
is.
that PS5 and Xbox Series X are going to be. I agree with you, Nintendo. I think they're going to be they're going to do their thing forever, just because
Yep.
they're so they're
It's because they
old
got
school.
all that nostalgia.
Yeah.
Well, they're just their own
IPs,
weird,
in my opinion.
unique.
Yeah, they're. I don't even consider them really a competitor with Xbox and Sony. They're like their own thing. Like,
They
Yeah,
really are.
I don't even think they're trying to compete with that.
Mhm.
They're just like they want to do their own, quirky thing.
yeah, and
And
good for
I'm actually
them.
I'm okay with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Good for them.
fun.
Like, I don't really care for their titles or their properties, but like, I'm not hating on it. I mean, if if you want to get a Switch and play all that stuff, hey, good for you. But I do think that like Xbox Series X and PS5 will be the last consoles. I think those are
I agree.
as far as like by last console, I mean as the last
Iteration of a console.
of what like we know of as a console, like what our definition of a console is now. I do hope
Yeah.
they actually that eventually they go into a market where it's all like Steam, right? Like
Yeah.
Xbox has a Steam
Digital.
version of itself, and then Sony has a Steam version of itself,
Well,
and then
Xbox has a Steam version of itself, but it sucks.
yeah, it sucks. But Xbox is going towards that direction, right? With like Game Pass and stuff like that, and making every game on PC. Like Xbox is
Yep.
actually being pretty, or Microsoft.
They're getting well, yeah. So they're getting there anyway because that's the whole point of Microsoft, really.
Mhm.
I think also what'll end up happening is Sony and Xbox or Microsoft will become a peripheral hardware company instead of a console peripheral or console company.
Mhm.
It'll
Well-
end up they'll make controllers and they'll make like gadgets for stuff.
If I remember, I don't remember which it was, if it was hardware or software, but basically Sony got a bunch of help from Microsoft in regards to something, one of those two for their new console. So either the software side or the hardware side of making the new PlayStation 5, they got a bunch of help apparently from.
I would assume the software side because Sony
I
seems to
think
have
so.
an advantage in the hardware part of
Yeah.
things. But all right, the fucking cameras are flashing, the audio is desyncing. It's
Listen,
all good.
it's fine. I love
It's par
it.
for the course.
It's
I
all
fucking
good.
love it.
I like it. I love it. I want
The
some
penultimate
more of it.
topic on today's podcast. I don't know if you guys can read that, but
I literally can't.
it's all good.
I,
Listen,
I could blow you up and do it, but like
no, it's fine.
I like
Listen.
looking at all three of our faces.
What it says is one game, one franchise, one developer. Everybody knows the rules. So
Okay.
this exercise is going to be, listen, if you could make one game using one developer that's currently making games
Okay.
of one intellectual property, so a franchise that you know of, who would you pick to make that game? Now, just because BioWare made Mass Effect doesn't mean it has to be the next Mass Effect has to be by BioWare. You could be like, I want Naughty Dog to make the next Mass Effect. Or I want to resurrect MDK2 and I want to give it to RockStar. Or like, what's your dream scenario?
Oh, okay. Actually, I haven't thought about exactly how I want to go with this, but I have seen this done before in a kind of a way, like having artists from other companies develop characters for other IPs. Basically, this like say if they took Final Fantasy characters, the Microsoft would take them and redesign them to look like what they would think a Microsoft would look like. Oh, okay. Let's see. So developer, and then IP. Oh, wait, what? Okay, go over how did you want this done exactly? In what order?
So you can make one game using
One game.
one developer using any intellectual property that you want.
Okay, one game, one developer.
One franchise, right?
Yeah, and one franchise.
So, which, it excludes what the reason why I say one franchise is because it excludes like mashups. Oh, I want, all DC characters and all Marvel characters in one game and they're gonna go whatever, fight bad guys. So, one franchise. So, if you want like Uncharted, it has to be Uncharted. It can't be Uncharted and The Last of Us together in one game.
Right. So if I picked the Final Fantasy universe, it'd have to be Final Fantasy, then whatever.
Yes,
Which is
correct.
fine. Okay.
Or
something
if
like
you
it.
want like a new Final Fantasy, you can choose whatever developer you want making
Right,
it,
like BioWare
Yeah.
Obsidian to make some shit like that. That'd be fucking actually cool. That's oh man, we should have prepped for this.
Honest.
Come up with some fucking weird Frankenstein shit.
I can start if you want.
You start, and I'm gonna come up with some.
I want Naughty Dog, who makes who makes The Last of Us and the Uncharted series. I want him to take American McGee's Alice property and give me an Alice game. A third-person action game that happens in the Alice Madness Returns universe or in just the American McGee's Alice universe.
Remember that Naughty Dog also made Crash Bandicoot, so keep that in mind.
Correct.
So they might go completely fucking on a way different path with that. It might become Alice, the same game basically, just in Crash
Good
Bandicoot
graphics.
I'll take the risk. I'll take the risk.
Okay, so let's see. Oh my god, I think that BioShock. No. Sorry, Fallout, the series, the whole series, everything from we'll just take 3 and up. I think that they should take the Fallout series, and I think Squaresoft should do it because I think the character development and the bugginess would go away, and I'd actually get a playable game from start to finish. You lose all the it just works, but and some of the teleportation hacks where you slam on the ground and you fly a million miles in the wrong direction. But so you lose the fun of that, but you'd actually get a really good game. Well, no, you know what?
Square Enix hasn't been
recent. I want Square Enix from back in 2000.
Back when they were called Squaresoft.
Yeah, back when they were actually good. Or no, I want them back when they were just Square before Enix or Soft.
Okay.
Because that's when they were making fucking Mario RPG, fucking Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 7. 8 was a little weird. They kind of flew off the handle with 9, but they were still good games.
So you want a Fallout game from the old school Square.
Right. And built in that kind of dystopian engine that they had at the time.
Okay.
Which they've changed. Okay, so here's a fun fact about Squaresoft. They started with an engine around the Final Fantasy VII era when they went the disc era, and they've only just recently rebuilt that engine. They've been kind of like what Bethesda did with Skyrim, all the Oblivion and all that shit. They've been using that same engine since the inception of fucking Bethesda.
Damn.
Right? So Squaresoft did a similar thing, and they've been using that same fucking engine and just rebuilding it in a different way to kind of reach their new IPs or reach the new game universe. But they're basically the same. So if you look at the polygons from 7, 8, and 9, they're all very unified and they look very similar to each other. Their textures are a little better because CPU improvements and more data storage. But if you look at their actual models, they look very, very similar and unique, and they move around kind of the same way. Then if you look at 10, right? So that was the golden era of the Final Fantasy franchise was 10, because after that it kind of went to shit because they just started going in weird directions with it. But if you look at that engine, it's also the same, just more polygons. So they rebuilt the engine into the Final Fantasy X engine, and that's when they started the Final Fantasy X project team. And then that only changed at Final Fantasy 13. No, sorry. Yeah, right before 13 started. So when they started developing 13, they'd already developed 11 and 12 on that same engine they'd rebuilt since fucking Final Fantasy 7 back in 97 up until that point. And they're like, oh, we have this new engine, right? So they built 13, 32, Lightning Returns, and then 13 Versus, which they never released. And then when they built 14, the original 14, the Before Realm Reborn, the online game, the MMO, they built that same game with that engine, and it completely tanked. They had to completely delete the project, the entire project of 14, and restart from scratch on a new engine that they also built, but it was a lot less bad than the first one. But they rebuilt it to that, and then they built 15 off that same engine. So
some lore.
That's some bullshit. but that first engine was really good for what it was doing, and I think that if we built Fallout in that engine, it would be a decent game.
Coolio. Moose?
I mean, I'm just gonna say.
I already know what it's gonna be. I mean, come on.
No, I really wanted to say like a new KOTOR from Obsidian, but I don't think I really want a new KOTOR game. I've been thinking about it over the last couple of days. I'm like, it's better just probably left in my memory, because that way, and like going back and playing the old games, because if they make a new one, with the way Disney is now with the Star Wars franchise and everything, I think it just get ruined. So I don't want it. I was like, as much as I love the game, I don't want a new one because it's just gonna, I guess you could say, taint the memory. But,
All right.
That being said, I don't really know. I can't really remember any other like franchises that I really enjoyed that I would like to see brought back, because I think most of the games I used to play were always like single, or like kind of like Battlefront 2, the 2005 edition, and stuff like that. So multiplayer games, because I have 6 siblings, so we play a lot of multiplayer. Hell, we straight up went out and bought like 3 or 4 Xboxes just so we could play like multiplayer games like Halo, stuff like that. So I honestly don't, aside from KOTOR, I don't have any like series that I really loved, because I never got into Elder Scrolls. Fallout, never really got into that. And GTA, like, I played a bit of BioShock. It was okay, but again, I don't know. I think honestly that's probably why I play mostly multiplayer games, is because that's what I grew up playing. So I can't think of anything that would be, I guess you could say, a good reboot or a new take on it, I guess.
Right. Well, maybe in the future you'll find.
Maybe. We'll see.
Or also, same thing, except Lionhead Studios does it.
Ooh, that'd be a good one too.
Because they're the ones who made Fable. And even though it was a little glitchy, I like the style of that, the way that engine worked.
I like Fable 3 because you have a dog.
I never cared for Fable, personally.
I like dogs, though. So
Fable 3 would have been better if I had people to play it with. I beat it, but it would have been way better with friends, because you could do it in that.
That's understandable.
Alrighty, I think we're on the last segment. Everybody's final segment on the fall damage.
Oh snaps! The
Gamescast.
word.
The word game. So we did this last time. I'm gonna change it up a little bit. There are words in here, but there are also phrases. Now, for the phrases, you guys can just give me a thought. It doesn't have to be the first thought that comes to your mind with regards to gaming, but just give me a thought of like what you think about in a gaming context when you hear this phrase. I'll start with the words first, right? So it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to be so quick triggered on it like last time, because I know last time, you can take a second to think. It's not a big deal. Okay. JRPG. And then I don't know who wants to start first. You guys can just keep that order. So if you want to start first, or I guess whoever has an answer, don't matter. All right, JRPG.
Dust and Legion Tale.
Okay. That's not a JRPG.
It is.
No, it's not.
It's a JRPG. Is it not?
No.
Is it an American company makes that? Oh, well, my bad. It's a really great...
How do you not say like Suikoden 2 or like Chrono Trigger or some shit like that?
Like, I don't even consider Chrono Trigger to be a JRPG.
It is definitely a JRPG.
I know, but it's like...
or like Final Fantasy or like...
Bro,
That's hilarious.
Have
He
you
said
ever
the
seen-
one game
have-
that's not a JRPG. That's awesome. It's
have
a
you ever played?
Metroidvania,
You
too.
played the fucking game. It's like playing goddamn Naruto.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
No.
It's okay.
Stop judging me. That was the first thing that came to mind.
I don't like this.
All right, Moose. What do you think about when I say the word, or the acronym JRPG, which stands for Japanese role-playing game?
Okay, first of all, listen. It looks like a
It's a
Japanese
hair
game.
badge.
I understand what it means.
I mean, the first franchise is definitely going to be Final Fantasy for
Final
me.
Fantasy. Okay.
Because I don't remember actually playing any JRPGs other than fantasy. But that was only brief. So
Okay. VR, virtual reality.
Ooh, Skyrim.
Okay.
Because it's the
Freaking-
game I want to play for fucking VR, and I haven't got to do it yet.
Right on.
I want to check my library real quick to make sure that is a VR.
I'm sure it is. It would seem like a missed
hand
opportunity.
simulator. Have you ever played it or seen people play it?
Yeah,
It is
hand
the
simulator.
funniest.
I
thing.
played before.
Oh yeah,
It's hard.
Mhm.
it's so hard. It's so funny though.
What
I think that's VR.
what comes to your mind when I say VR, Moose? Fucking Moose on his tangents.
No, they have it for VR.
Yeah, I know.
Hand simulator.
Oh, hand simulator? That's what you
Yeah.
wanted? Oh my gosh.
I thought that was VR, but I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, of course, because like the whole game is like that game is so
Yeah,
frustrating.
It is ultra frustrating.
It's so funny. Like another funny ass game to see for that is Trouble in Terrace Town. That is so funny to watch in VR.
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
So good.
Okay. Remnant.
Oh
Of the
man,
Forsaken King.
I wish I'm glad somebody said that shit.
the quest for the lost cupcake.
I love
There's
that.
bees in my teeth.
Goddamn.
Oh man. I love that. Retro.
Battle for Westnall.
Damn. Deep cut.
Retro, huh?
Do you know what that one is?
No, I don't.
So this is a game actually I kind of want to have you guys play because it is an old PC game, but it's completely free and you can still go download it. And it's a turn-based thing, and it's just really interestingly done. I'll talk about it more later, but
Right on.
it's really cool. I think you guys.
Retro.
Come on, you're like Mr. Retro.
Well, I know, but if I say some off the wall shit, you can be like, "Well, that's not actually a retro
No,
game."
just say whatever you want, but like
I don't
say
know,
Call of Duty or some shit.
Castlevania.
Castlevania. Okay, yeah. That's a good answer. Cheap.
Oh my god. Fucking fighting games. God damn.
All right.
Oh,
Shiju,
Shiju.
for instance,
Mhm.
the person, not the character.
Not the character, the person.
Fucking goddamn.
oh my gosh. Platformers. Goddamn platformers. So cheap. Just jump. God damn it.
Soundtrack.
Ooh, that's a hard one. But fuck, man. So Final Fantasy, but like, there's a lot of good ones. Especially now since like there's everything's orchestrated. Oh my god. Black Mages, for instance. Oh,
Maybe I'm a
So
lion.
so good.
Yeah. Moose, you got one?
For what
Soundtrack.
was it again? Soundtrack. I'm trying to think of something. Honestly, I've never played it, but what's it called? Undertale.
Undertale.
Soundtrack for that
Really,
is
really
so
good.
good.
So good. So good. Okay. Overrated.
Final Fantasy,
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts.
Damn, really?
I love the companies, but fuck yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Final Fantasy or what was that? There was another one that I was gonna talk. Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Any of the top rated games on PC Mag right now?
Yeah.
Underrated. Oh, you weren't done? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna start listing off everything like in the top 10
Oh,
of Twitch.
underrated.
Underrated. There's a lot of underrated games actually. It's a good underrated game. Probably. Let's see. I don't know. This kind of depends on what you're into. This guy is a really underrated game, I think. It's got a really good storyline. It's a tactics game though, so not everybody's into it, but this guy is really good.
This guy.
And it's yeah.
Age of Wonders 3.
Right on.
Age of Wonders is a RTS, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Dude, that game is super good too. And
it's so good. But I've never heard about it until like last year.
I only heard about it because when I got my first PC, it was a game that came with the computer, and I played the fuck out of it. It was only like a 3-level demo of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I mastered the demo. This is when demos were still a big thing too.
Dude,
Oh my God.
demos.
Dude, for real.
Honestly, screw betas. Just bring back demos. Give us a taste of what everything the game has to offer.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Okay, here are the phrases. So we're done with the words.
Okay.
Hours played.
World of Warcraft. Year and some change. Actual speed time.
All right.
I mean, I have a lot in World of Warcraft, but I was gonna say something like an RTS game, like Stellaris or Sins of a Solar Empire, because I got like those have come out like within the last 5 years, and I have over 1,000 hours.
Damn.
Those games.
Video game comfort food.
Sonic Adventure 2.
I had a feeling that would be Overwatch.
I got Overwatch.
Overwatch? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Still need to play.
Oh my God.
KOTOR.
You already played that.
Any game that up.
I still go back at least once a year.
Right. Okay.
Reading my mind. Okay, let's go. I'm just gonna pick off the list here. Cuphead, BioShock Infinite, The Long Dark,
Just your backlog.
Neo, fucking Bastion.
Damn.
And Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen. Fucking hold up, I got some more in here.
Okay.
I got a huge list of shit here going on. Binding of Isaac, and then it's the DLC for that. Celeste, Child of no, I've already done that one. Celeste, The Darkness 2. Dishonored, finishing the game. Sekiro, finishing the game. Let's see.
There's a bunch.
What I do is I just go on Steam and they're so cheap sometimes, and I just buy like 10 games at a time. It's like I'm never gonna. Oh, Kingdom Hearts 3, for instance. I haven't even touched that game yet.
Yep. Okay. Hate-love relationship.
Overwatch.
Okay.
Tekken 7.
I play it and I rage.
Right.
But I love that.
What'd you say, Tekken 7 alt?
Tekken 7, and also, can I use an idea as a love-hate relationship with gaming? Multiplayer games that I start playing that I can't keep playing because everybody else drops off the planet, or we have to finish it because it's done, like Remnant, for instance. Ashes of Forsaken King.
Yeah.
I really didn't want to stop playing that game because it was really good, but we had to because it was done. It makes me sad.
That ending came out of nowhere too. I didn't realize we were
I know.
finished.
But what it would have been awesome is if it was like not the actual end boss and it was just like
That would've been
set
cool.
up the actual ending. That would have been cool.
I want a Remnant sequel.
Same.
Okay. Want another. That's a good segue.
Remnant 2.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Shit, I don't know. What's the game that I have? Another Castlevania, Lords of Shadow. They've pretty much stopped Castlevania-ing, as far as I know. I haven't seen anything that's streamed the pipeline for new Castlevania stuff. And Lords of Shadow and Lords of Shadow 2 were really fucking good. And I'm sad because I can't play them because they don't have any more.
Moosey Moose.
Kind of want another Payday. I remember playing that. That was a lot of fun. But I'm getting another Payday, so.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, I think. Yes. Never want to see again.
Oh, fucking Soul Calibur.
Okay.
That franchise has pretty much killed itself, though. So I guess whatever. Oh, I got one too for everybody. Want to forget so you could play it again.
I think probably like Fort. I never see that again.
I swear to God, you just said Fortnite.
I did.
Oh, you want to forget it so you can try to play it again?
No, I just want to forget it and never see it again.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Forget so we have to play it again?
No,
Oh,
like something you want to revisit, but you can't anymore because you played it and you can't have that same nostalgic feeling for it anymore.
Chrono Trigger.
Boom, there you go.
I don't know if there's anything really that I can think of because I enjoy KOTOR every time I go back to that. There's no other single player games that I go back to.
Just any gaming experience that you've ever been like, wow, this is amazing, but I know too much about it.
MBK2.
No. See, my gaming experience is very limited.
You need to open up your horizon.
I think mine would be Final Fantasy VII because I thought that was the most amazing thing at the time. You remember when graphics you thought looked realistic, basically, because you went for fucking 8-bit. This is amazing. Oh man, they have shapes now. I can see Tifa's boobs.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Yeah, got some hot FAP material for later that I took on my Polaroid.
Polygon.
Alrighty, those are all the items on today's agenda for the Gamescast. Very well done, sirs.
Thank you.
We're going to record a podcast. I don't think Moose knows what the topic for the podcast is yet because he was sleeping, but
back to back, baby.
It has something to do
with
sleeping. So I'm Mac, that's Moose, that's Alt, and we're out.